evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Air Vice Marshal Alan Clements. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand for the national anthem. Those requiring a seat, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament. Flowers of the forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Gilbert Roy Evans. Gilbert Evans was born on the 18th of June, 1894, the eldest of 6 children born to Edward and Olive Evans of Alce in Macquarie Plains area, central Tasmania. After his schooling, Evans worked as a farmer, as well as serving in the 93rd Battery of a local militia unit. In November 1914, Evans travelled to Claremont, near Hobart, and enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force. He began training with the reinforcements of the 12th Infantry Battalion, one of the first Australian units raised after the outbreak of the First World War. On the 2nd of February 1915, after less than 2 months' training, Evans sailed from Melbourne for overseas service aboard the transport ship Clan MacGillivray. He arrived in Egypt soon afterwards and continued training with his battalion at the Mina camp near Cairo. In early March 1915, he transferred with his unit from Egypt to the Greek island of Lemnos to continue training. Evans's battalion, the 12th, formed part of the 3rd Brigade of the 1st Australian Division and was one of the first units to land on Gallipoli in the early hours of the 25th of April 1915. Evans, however, never took part in this action. In mid-April, he was transferred to a hospital ship and taken to Alexandria in Egypt for treatment with pleurisy and bronchitis. The illness developed into meningitis and a severe inflammation of the inner ear. He died on the 23rd of April, 2 days before the first landings on Gallipoli. He was 20 years old. He is buried at the Chatby Military War Memorial Cemetery in Alexandria, where over 2,250 Commonwealth servicemen of the First World War now lie. In the months following Evans's death, his father and brother enlisted and served for Australia in the Great War. His father, Edward, served in Palestine. His brother, Edward, on the Western Front, and they both survived the war. Private Gilbert Roy Evans' name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right. Almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Gilbert Roy Evans, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you all for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening. Thank you.